morning, welcome back to Beauty Bee and to my top 10 products of 2021. These are products that I tried for the first time in 2021 and I really enjoyed. I would recommend to others. I don't think any of these were actually released in 2021. In fact, I'm pretty sure none of them were released in 2021. But they were new to me in 2021 and I am the bright center of my own universe, so we're going to talk about them today. Let's start with the one not strictly face makeup piece, and this is from Sally Hansen. I feel like I talk about these in a lot of different videos, but that's because they're amazing and I love them, and I'm slowly on my way to collecting all of them like Pokemon. So this is the Sally Hansen Insta Dry Prismatic Shine Nail Polish. I have, I think, 4 from this line so far, and I see myself collecting a few more in the coming months. This is the first one that I got though, and it is probably my favorite. This is the shade Cosmic Blue. This is a somewhat sheer nail polish with a lot of shine to it. This has just enough base pigment to it that it works as a really beautiful transformer over blues and greens and purples. I think it would look really good over black as well, though I don't personally own a black nail polish. I really like blues and greens and purples. Those are probably the types of shades that I wear most often. And this is just gorgeous with all of them. I love how shifty this is. This is part of the Insta Dry line, and while I do not think that these dry as quickly as the creme polishes in that line for a glittery top coat, essentially, I think that these actually dry pretty quickly, and I'm just overall really, really happy with this formula. Now, let's talk about face makeup in the order that I would apply it, because I don't have like a ranking for this video, so this just seems reasonable enough to me. Next up would be the Porefessional Hydrate Primer. This is from Benefit. I think I actually tried this at the very end of last year, but you know what? We're just gonna go with it. I like the feeling of this on my skin in a way that I have not experienced with another primer or any kind of skincare. I think that this one is unopened. True. But I am within a week or two of finishing off the hydrating primer from Tarte that I'm working on, so I'll squeeze out a little bit. It is this light beige primer, and this has a little bit of pore filling qualities to it. It definitely smooths out my skin, but it has a nice level of moisture. I don't generally wear foundation. I'm actually wearing a little bit today right around my nose and on my chin because I'm just super red recently, and that foundation wears really well on top of this, and this works as just a little bit of smoothing, a little bit of moisture on my skin if I'm not wearing foundation that day. I find that cream blush applies really well on top of it, which is another thing that I look for in a primer. This is right at that midpoint between being skincare and being a makeup product, and I really enjoy it. Next up, we have an item from the Balm, and this is their Girls Getaway Trio Face Palettes. First of all, the packaging on this, as well as most of the Balm's products, is absolutely adorable. I love the 3 girls all having their getaway. And on the inside, we have 3 classic shades from the Balm. We have Balm Desert, Balm Beach, and then Balm Springs. On me, Balm Beach and Balm Desert can both function as bronzers, and I believe I might be overstating this, but I believe that all the Balm face products, and specifically hopefully the ones in this palette at least can be used on the eyes as well. I just really appreciate the tones in this palette. I think that all three of the shades mix together really well to get custom colors. I love this sort of earth toned quality that all three of these colors have. The powders are all really soft, they're really blendable. I think that Balm Beach, which has quite a bit of pink to it, is probably one of the more natural bronzers that I've ever encountered. I mean, my skin does not have any orange to it, any yellow to it whatsoever, I feel. So having a bronzer that has some pink to it, that is the color that my skin turns when I've been exposed to the sun. I never get a real tan. I get something in between a burn and a tan at best. And I think that this really suits me. I'm very, very happy with this little trio. I need to stop saying I'm happy with these. Of course I'm happy with them. They're in my favorites video. But I will do my best. No promises here. Next up we have another face product, and this is from Colourpop. This is their Night Bloom blush. Here we have it. It is just the most unusual color. It is this lavender shade. It's like a bright lavender. And I could see this looking absolutely nightmarish on some people. But on my skin tone, this is beautiful. It looks super fresh. It looks interesting without being overboard. I'm wearing it today, and I don't think that it looks even really that unnatural. I think it looks like I'm wearing blush. It looks like I've got some really bad contour going on too, but let's ignore that. But I don't think it looks as extreme as I feel like it might based on what it looks like in the pan. The formula on this, I don't think this is like my favorite blush formula, but it is good enough. It's not something that is really lovely in texture to dip your finger into, but it applies just fine on the cheeks. I don't have any difficulty blending it out. That's all I really care about, and I like that this is matte, because this is the kind of shade that I would want to mess around with quite a variety of highlighters with, and I feel like having this be matte really leaves a lot of options open for me. So this one is definitely more a shade recommendation than a formula rec, but if you are near my skin tone, I would highly suggest giving this one a go. I think it's very, very pretty. The next product we have to talk about is technically an eyeshadow, so I think we'll use this as our transition into eyeshadow. But I use it as a face product. This is from Kiko, and it is a baked eyeshadow duo. This is their bright duo in the shade 08. It has a yellow and then a white. The white has some glitter to it. The yellow is more of a smooth shine. And I love the yellow, especially as a face highlight. So there's that white. You can see there's a lot of glitter to that. And then the yellow is much smoother. I will wear the yellow as a face highlight and the yellow mixed with the white as a face highlight. And then of course I'll use both of them on my eyes as well. But this is just the most unusual but interesting, flattering highlight. I don't own anything similar, and I can't really think of anything that's available on the market that is super, super similar. Though of course I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of different highlighters, so there may be many things that are pretty close. But it's interesting, it's glowy enough that you can really build it up to whatever level you want. You can make this relatively subtle. I mean, it's still going to be yellow, so it's not going to be incredibly subtle and natural, but you can definitely build this up to stripe level if you want. I was a bit disappointed when I was going through Kiko's other offerings. I was really interested to see if they offered any other shades in this formula that would make nice face highlights, and they really don't. But this one is gorgeous, and I think this is still on like really good sale on their website. So if you're ever placing an order with them, this may be something to check out. With this one, we're fully transitioning into eyeshadow. This is from Colourpop. I was going to say it was the only Colourpop thing on this list, but I've already talked about a Colourpop product. This is their Super Shock Shadow in the shade Flower Child. It came out with their Sunflower range. This got me back into Super Shocks. I'd owned several, not quite when Colourpop first released, but within probably 2 years of when Colourpop released, I owned several Super Shocks. I panned a couple of them. I decluttered a couple of them. I have one that I bought at Ulta just on a whim that gave me a lot of glitter fallout. But this one has reignited my love. I like to wear this as a topper. There is some sheerness to it. I think you can see that in my swatch. You can build this up with glitter glue to something that is approaching full opacity, but I really have no interest in doing that very often. What I really like to do with this shade is I will put some mid-tone matte, often quite a colorful mid-tone matte, all over my lid, up into my crease. Sometimes I'll put it under my eye as well. And then I'll just put this over the lid, and it looks like I put so much work into my eye makeup. It looks like I'm wearing several different shades, especially if I extend this color into my inner corner. It looks like I have a shade in my crease, a shade on my lid, a shade on my inner corner. It's really lovely, and it has such an interesting amount of dimension to it because it has that sheerness. It's got a pretty shine to it. Again, I'm going to keep saying this, but I'm really, really happy with this product. I have purchased a few other Super Shocks since then, and I still feel like this is my favorite formula. This is a little bit on the stiffer side for these Super Shocks. Most of them, you know, they're a little bit more on the putty side. This one, you would have a little bit of a harder time really moving this around in the pan with your finger. You could still do it. It would just take a little bit more pressure than it would with most Super Shocks. And I don't know if that's responsible for this perfect level of sheerness or not. If I'm actually getting a little bit less on my finger than I would with some other Super Shocks, but I'm so, so happy with this. It's stunning. Colourpop. This formula. More of these. Please and thank you. One more eyeshadow product, and then we will get on to lips. I actually bought 2 Viseart palettes this year. I bought them both through Ipsy. I actually have a third on the way to me. I'm pretty excited for it. And this is the Petite Pro 3. I bought Petite Pro 2 first, and then I bought this one, I don't know, maybe 2 months later. I'm just choosing to talk about this one because I prefer the color scheme slightly. I think this has some more interesting shades going on than the Petite Pro 2, which is very rosy corally. So the mattes in these palettes I think are the standouts. They are really lovely, smooth shades. They show up very true to color. They're easy to work with, easy to blend. Just no complaints. They look terrible in a swatch, but I don't care what they look like in a swatch. As long as they look nice on my eyes, I'm good to go. The shimmers are decent. They are not full impact wow right out the gate. You definitely need to add some glitter glue or wet your brush if you really want to get super poppy shimmers, but they provide a really nice satin shine just as is. And they can be, again, they can be built up using glitter glue or a wet brush to something a little bit more impactful. I'm really impressed with this formula. I think they're really pretty. And I love the format of these eyeshadow palettes. I love that you can pop the individual shades out quite easily. I think that the individual shades are actually pretty decent sized. I've used this palette, I would say probably 30 odd times, and I'm nowhere close to hitting pan on any of the shades. And this is such a compact little palette. I mean, it's basically the size, I would say this is slightly larger than a credit card, especially lengthwise, but again, it's really small. It fits 8 shades beautifully, and the quality inside is excellent. We're getting really fancy towards the end here. This is a repurchase, and here we're talking a little bit more about formula than about shade. The one that I have, by the way, these are the Afterglow Lip Balms. The one that I have here is in the shade Laguna, and I just repurchased this as part of a Sephora Favorites set, but I have panned a mini, well, the same size earlier in the year. There it is right there. These are just a lovely, lovely tinted lip balm formula. They have a beautiful amount of shine. They have enough pigments that there is actually a difference between individual shades on the lips. I think that the level of sheerness is really beautiful. It's at that point where I feel you can still apply these without a mirror and be pretty confident that it's still going to look good, but there's actually impact. It doesn't look like you're wearing, you know, clear lip gloss. You do actually see the shade come through. These have a nice scent to them. I'm not sure what it is. It's just gentle and soft and pretty. Kind of sweet. I love the packaging. I think it's beautiful. And they have quite a few of these on sale on the NARS site right now for 50% off. I think the $28 price tag is pretty steep, but at $14, I'm considering picking up one or two. I don't need any more lip products. I am so beyond set on lip products, but these are really, really beautiful. The final product we have to talk about is, again, new to me, not new to the market. This is a MAC lipstick. This is one of their Powder Kiss lipsticks in the shade Devoted to Chili. I love the shade of this. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful color. And I love the formula. It is my understanding that these MAC Powder Kiss lipsticks are intended to mimic the velvet powdery formulas that are seen in East Asian makeup. And that makes me so much more interested in trying some more, well, I guess some Korean makeup. I would be very interested in knowing what is most similar to this formula. This is just such a pretty diffused look on the lips. My lips have been in really bad shape recently. I don't think it comes across too terribly on camera, hopefully. We really don't all need to see that, but I feel like this still looks decent over them. I love this really soft lip line that it gives. I feel like I don't need to be as precise as I usually would with a reddish lipstick. And this just has such a beautiful softness to it. It almost looks like you have a blurring filter on, but of course you don't. I was wrong. I thought it was to 10, but this little guy escaped me. This is from Wet n Wild and is their Breakup Proof Liquid Eyeliner. I just have the black one. This is actually, again, a repurchase. This is my second one. And I just put that over the Benefit primer, so that's why it's not looking very good. Let's go here instead. That's a little bit better. The only eyeliner that I've really ever gotten along with other than this one is the Kvd Tattoo Liner, and this is far more economical. I had found that the other drugstore ones that were available tended to smudge really badly on me. I have quite hooded eyes, and I think it was a little bit of a mixture of the technique that I was using being less than ideal and the formulas not quite working for me, but I would just consistently get transfer up onto my hood, or I think I would rub my eye at some point during the day and just have eyeliner just in a line down. Awful. This I feel is very, very similar to the Kvd. I don't know that I would see a ton of difference between the two, with the exception that I feel like the tip on this one frays a little bit more quickly. My Kvd one, I had just a little sample of that and it lasted me well over a year. I was very, very happy with it. This one lasts me 7 or 8 months. However, it's less than half the price of the Kvd one. This is a $5 liquid eyeliner, and because it's drugstore makeup, you can sometimes find it on a pretty decent sale. Super thrilled with that. So glad that I don't need to repurchase that Kvd one, because I don't want to spend $22 on liquid eyeliner. If I'm going to spend $20 on makeup, I want it to be fun. And to me, at least, liquid eyeliner is a fun thing to purchase. So there are my 10 top picks for the year. I would love to hear what you've tried this year, what worked out for you. Have you tried any of these, and would they make it onto your top 10 list of the year that you tried them? I'm well aware that the makeup time frame for everyone is not the same. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed and that you are having a wonderful start to this year 2022. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and I really hope that I will see you all in my next one. Bye!